an experienced member of cabinet, a former minister who is a member of the opposition PDP, an advisor to the PDP national chairman on external engagement, Mr. Osita Chidoka. He joins us from Abuja. Thank you indeed, Mr. Chidoka, for joining us tonight on the program. First and foremost, the agenda of this government to keep up an assessment of its cabinet or its ministers. How do you find that, considering that they listed 35 items of achievements or performance or policy track record over the last 1 year? Your assessment?
Well, thank you very much, Shaun, and good evening to everybody. First of all is that I was surprised that the government released a list of 35 achievements this year, because a year ago or 2 years ago, they released 64 achievements. So even by their quantum of achievements, the government has declining productivity. In 2018, it was 64, and in 2020, they've reduced to 35. So we can see there is decline in the quantity of achievements. But when you look at the quality of the achievements, what I think Nigerians should be asking themselves 5 years after this government is, how are you doing today? The GDP of the country has fallen from 550 billion in 2015 to 350 billion. So let me explain what it means, something that most people miss. If you had a property or if you had salary that was worth 1 million naira in 2015, and as at that time at 160 to 200 naira, even if you take 200 naira, you had $5,000. At 470 naira today, you have less than $2,000. So everybody is poorer today in Nigeria in real terms. Now, but the most important ingredient of this government is, let's take them on economy. On the economy, Nigeria's debt has risen to about 36 trillion. It has grown 3 times what it was in 2015. And this 36 trillion, some say 28 trillion, depending on which numbers you're working on, if you're multiplying by 360 or 470, but it's about 36 trillion, and it has grown from about 12 trillion to 36 trillion, meaning that 90% of our revenue is currently going into debt servicing. So I don't know how that can be marked as an achievement. When you look at what is the cost of this debt profile, it is not that we have borrowed money to enhance, to invest, to yield us money. We've borrowed money practically to do 3 things I can see, because I don't have visibility into what the government does. But the 3 things I can see is, number 1, they've used the borrowed money to sustain the naira at an unsustainable rate. From 500 naira that it went up during the 2016 fiasco, they brought it down to 360, and then changed it for government officials and their friends at 305. So meaning that the subsidy on the naira has been financed by some of this borrowing. We've also used this subsidy, these borrowings, to finance fuel subsidy. The government removed fuel prices. They refused there was no subsidy in fuel prices. In 2011, 2012, all of them argued there was no subsidy in fuel. But now, fuel subsidy has remained one of the big ticket items that has consumed money. The last one is the power sector subsidy. All the discussion about power is that the key things to be done in the power sector hasn't been done. So the power sector is consuming huge amounts of foreign exchange that the government cannot sustain. Therefore, every Nigerian has paid a price for this policy incoherence. Strange policy incoherence that is leading to 35 achievements, of which number 1 on the agenda is the increase in number of ministries. For a country that is currently at 90% of its revenue to service its debt, building new ministries, bringing in new people into work is suddenly not something you should have as achievement. Secondly, we shall look at the issue of security. I don't need to elaborate on security, because every Nigerian knows that today Nigerians are far more insecure than they have been before the advent of this administration. The critical problem with the security is that nothing in what the government has done has gone to looking at a fundamental look at our security architecture and about how to create about a security system that will secure Nigerians. Because fundamentally, this administration, like no other administration, has damaged our national integration program. Nigeria has been a country, the only multi-ethnic country in Africa with major ethnic tribes in it, which has thrived on an inclusive policy, which has thrived on a federal character principle that has brought people from all parts of Nigeria together. This government has damaged that and has strengthened Nigeria down to its shortfalls. So I'm really surprised at the 35 achievements.
All
but looking at them, you can see that they are very routine matters.
If I may, Mr. Adesina said something about the fact that that there is nobody that will doubt the fact that this government is at work. Can you doubt the effort of this government, that it is working?
I doubt the effort because it's clear to Nigerians that what we're suffering is not poor governance, but no governance. You can see from Nigerians that nobody is superintending the government. Nobody is superintending the ministers. Nobody is holding anybody accountable for the mishaps we're seeing going on in the country. Nobody is showing us the targets that has been set for the different MDAs and the ministries. So we cannot for certain say that there is a measurement metrics that is working. So it is obvious to all said that when you pay contractors, when you have large contracting projects going on by Chinese companies and foreign companies, half of that money goes out of the country. Everybody that is a local contractor in Nigeria can tell you that they have not gotten contracts from the federal government, and if they have gotten, there are no payments. So there has been very little capital expenditure in what will impact on Nigerians here. If you are a Nigerian salary earner, as I said before, you will see that the salaries you've earned, which used to be about $120 a month, or our minimum wage, has fallen down to less than about $40 or $30 a month at where we are today at $30,000. So it is clear that there is no careful thinking. There is no coherent philosophy of governance. There is no careful metrics of management and monitoring systems and procedure.
But
if you look around,
Mr.
there have
Chidoka,
been no
if I may quickly,
for employment across all the agencies.
All right. So in wrapping up the conversation, you are a member of cabinet, and what this government said it did, the president at some point said they were going to set KPIs for each ministries and each minister. Mr. Adesina told us that each minister has been presenting their achievement or their work in the last 1 year. Did that happen when you were in office?
We under the PDP years, ministers actually received letters from the president, starting from President Obasanjo, stating clearly what he's expecting of you to do in office and what are the key plans he has for that particular ministry. He wrote it down. He didn't ask you to set up your own KPIs. And most of the work of the government was made public. During our days in cabinet, we had presentation every month from every sector. Then we had the Saturday meetings where people, stakeholders in that sector, were brought together, and the minister will defend what they have done in that sector. And people in that sector will give their feedback to the president to whether this thing is working or not. There has been no sectoral stakeholder meetings since this government came to power. So there couldn't have been any monitoring of the government. Like I said, the declining effect of the governance shows itself in even his own achievements, which has fallen from 64 to 35 in 2 years. And it is clear also that the key indication of this government, the key indices of this government, the issue of security, the issue of anti-corruption have all hit low water mark. Where today we are fighting a situation where the czar of the corruption agency is himself now being probed for corruption. So it is clear to all Nigerians that it has been all platitudes and no action. So what I will suggest going forward is that the government should publicly indicate what is the philosophy and what is the framework of this government so that Nigerians can measure it in a more empirical manner.
Mr. Osita Chidoka, former Minister of Aviation, thank you indeed, and the advisor to PDP National Chairman on External Engagement. I must sincerely thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sheng.